Well, hello and welcome back to the channel and the allotment, where today I'm going to try and tackle this bed in the garden and get these dahlias and the rest of the plants in. I've already been through it and weeded it, so it's just a case now of getting the spade out and getting stuck in. Right, so we'll start with this dahlia, and I can't tell you its name because, as I've told you before, labels I'm not very good with, but this year I'm going to at least try and identify them once they've grown. The soil's really nice. Came down yesterday and concentrated on weeding, and I got 2 or 3 beds done, but I did Lily's bed, and believe it or not, there was a full to the top overflowing wheelbarrow of weeds. I certainly slept better last night, knowing that I'd got rid of those. Right, let's have a look at this root system. Here we go. Oh, nearly dropped it. There we go, look at that. That's dying to get in ground. In she goes. Not quite deep enough, to be fair. Just take it out. I love putting these dahlias in, but it's a real pain taking them out. This plot, or certainly this bed, gets too wet to leave them in, so I've got no choice really. There we go. Right, that's the first of many. Let's move across to this next one. Let's put you in the flower bed. There we go. Right, so this one is gonna go. I'm not sure. Should it go there? Should it go there? Is that gonna be impede me? No, I'm going to put it right there. Let's get an hole dug. Don't want to disturb the gladioli that I've put in. I was explaining to a few of the subscribers about the issue I've got with my shoulder, and what it was I mentioned before that I had an injury back in the army, and basically from that I kept getting recurrent dislocations of my right shoulder. I used to have to really think about what I was doing. If I just loosely or just went down and picked a suitcase up without thinking, the shoulder would just pop out. It won't pop out at the front, it used to pop out at the back. Absolute agony. And it dislocated, I don't know, umpteen times. So eventually the medical officer says we're going to get this sorted out, and they took me to an RAF hospital, and I had an operation, what they call an anterior putty plat, which basically they pull all your muscles from around your humerus and all around your back, and they fasten them around the back here to try and strengthen that to stop it coming out. But That's a practice that they don't do now. In fact, it's frowned upon because it causes, it can cause arthritis and restriction in movement. And there's always been a slight restriction with it, always, but never painful. But now, all the way up here into my neck, all the way around the back, and sometimes right down into this sort of arm bone here, it absolutely kills. So I think that's going to come back and haunt me, that old injury, as they do. So if you hear me wincing on, you now know why. Right, I'll move the camera and we'll get on with the next one. So this side of the bed's quite busy already, what with the rose, the heuchera performing really, really well. There's some of those self-seeded poppies just there in the corner. I like to leave those in, I think they're a lovely flower, but I also always make sure that I nip off the flower heads before they get a chance to set seed, because they do go all over the place. At the back there's that blue flower, borage. That's just self-seeded there. Margaret across the way has some borage on her plot, so I think that's all that's happened. It's self-seeded, but I'm going to leave it. But again, you've got to keep a tight rein on the flower heads on those, because they can seed themselves all over. So there we've got two of the dahlias there, in amongst the gladioli. Same across there. I've got to shape this tree, it's awful. I'll have a look at that soon. Yeah, and then over here we've got the sedum. I got that from Sally. It were tiny, literally as big as my finger, a cutting. Beginning of last season. And I put it on the back plot, and it formed like something as big as my hand. I moved it from there onto here, and it's gone a bomb. So it must like its situation. And then you can see we've got another dahlia there. There is a shrub type honeysuckle over there, and then just there again is the red hot pokers. So what I'm going to do now is just interdisperse in amongst all them some of the cosmos. Right, I'm going to just put 4 fennel in here. One in the corner over there behind the red hot poker, one just there at the side of the dahlia, one just the other side of the birdhouse, and then one round the corner just to fill in a little bit of a patch. So let's crack on. I'll give the bed a really good hoe when I've finished. And where do we see it? Other one more here. Set 2 over here. I'll just dig over my foot marks and work my way out. Weeding as I go. I don't think that's going to look too bad, so I'm going to get up there now and do Lily's bed, put a few plants in there. I think that's going to look really nice. That rose is beautiful, almost like a red with a yellow tinge to it. I think that's going to look quite nice once it all fills out. As I say, I'll give that plum tree a prune. Now I know that if I try to plant this big dahlia anywhere in amongst here, I'm going to be digging up quite a lot of these spring bulbs that are in there. So I think what I'm going to do is put this over there near the fence, and it's bound to happen. I'm not going to be able to avoid it, but I'm going to put these lavataria in here. And we're bound to hit something, but it can't be helped, can it? If I see anything, I'll just pop it back in. Lucky on this one, nothing there. As I say, this bed was absolutely rife with weeds, rife, and volunteer potatoes. It took me, I'd say, probably 45 minutes to clear it. So that's what happens when you get blown off course. To get another one of these in here. Oh, those casualties. They can go back in though. I'm going to be adding to this bed as I go. When I visit the garden centre, if I see anything that takes me fancy, I'll buy it and bob it in here for Lily. Come on, let's come out that one. There we go. Missed that volunteer potato. Right, get this one in up here. That one doesn't look too healthy, so I wouldn't be surprised if that didn't make it. Right, and then I'll just bob these in and out, different places. One there, one here, one over there, one here, over here, over there, and over there. I'll come back to you when I've got these in the ground. So there we go. All the cosmos in, the lavataria in, and that bed looks a lot tidier now. And as I say, get that dahlia in up at the top there and just add to it as I go along and keep on top of the weeds. So there we go, Lil. That's looking better. So whilst watching Mark growing with plot 21, the other day's latest video, I found out that marigolds are good to go in and around squash and pumpkin. So I've got myself a spare 12. So I'm going to put 6 in this bed and 6 in my other squash bed. It's turning into a flowery day on the allotment. There you go. One right in that corner there. There you pop. Yeah. Yeah, I'll put 6 in. There we go. And I'll stick these in the other bed over there. Oops. A few weeds in amongst there. Right, I'll put a few in here. It's better than them going to waste. And I'll put the other 3 in the bed just over there. Everything all of a sudden is looking really lush on the allotment. I think this weekend could be my first picking of beetroot. It's really gone well there. The basil's looking great. My herb baskets are looking lovely and healthy. There's the spring onions. I've left the ones in that look okay and pulled the ones out that look bad. I'm just going to see how it goes, you know. If I get out, I get it. If I don't, I don't. Name of the game. As I say, the shallots weren't affected. The parsnips are going great guns. And the bambino pumpkin there and the squash over there are looking really good. It looks like they've got the feet down and they're ready to go. Thank you very much for all the suggestions for the end of the canes. Martin came up with this one, you know, putting a little piece of hose pipe across. Obviously you won't be able to get your eye on that if this is in the way. It's a good idea, but I think I'm going to go with Pete, who came up with some rebar caps that you can get from a builder's merchant, so I'm going to probably just get some of those ordered. The potatoes are all looking well. Just starting to see 1 or 2 flowers on the potatoes in the bags. And this is going really, really well, is this planter. I think it's going to look good. Just deadheading all the time these calendulas, and they'll come back thicker. And I'll be getting some of the sweet peas too. Right, let's head back into the greenhouse. Well, I think that brings us to the end of another midweek update. Very flowery update. I've got to get myself off now, get changed. I'm planting a memorial rose for one of the residents that's in the care home where my wife works. She lost her husband, so they've bought a rose in his memory, and they're going to do a little bit of a ceremony for her. So I'm going up there to plant that, so I need to get a shower, get changed. But I'd like to thank everybody for watching these videos. I'm now on, I think, 2,904 subscribers, and I think this is video number 199. Official videos, it says that I've done more, but Veg Plot Man videos, when I first started, didn't start in earnest at the beginning. So my 200th will be this time next week, I think. So I'm really going to try to see if I can hit that 3,000 subscriber mark. So if you're watching and you've not subscribed, do me a favour, hit that button, and let's see if we can make it to 3,000 before next week. So until then, guys, thank you very much for joining me. Take care, have a great week, and happy growing.